Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time for you to show me your nuts, or for me to show you my nuts. And I just realized how red my face looks, and I apologize for that. That's just the way it is today. How is everybody? I hope that you enjoyed last week's show, which was pre-recorded, because I needed a break more than I realized I needed a break. And, that happens, when physicians try to heal themselves, when social workers try to take care of themselves, when people try to do the things for themselves that they do as a profession for other people. And so one of the things I talk a lot about is self-care. And yes, I do self-care. I practice what I preach. And I practice it the way I preach it. But every once in a while, I get behind and don't have as much self-care as I probably should. So, that's just how that happens. So, welcome to the show. We're continuing our series on and going into we're talking about anxiety and worry today. And I want to tell you today, a little later, I'm going to tell you a story that's probably one of the key formative stories for me when it comes to worry. One of the biggest stories of a thing that happened to me. So the title of today's episode is "Where Does the Sun Rise?" And you're like, okay, what does that have to do with worry, Stacy? That's the name of the story. We're talking about breaking the worry cycle. How do you break out of the cycle that worry brings up? Because when you get anxious about something, you spiral. I don't know if anybody's ever had that. Maybe we should do our how charged are your nuts? So, are you tired of juggling deadlines, apps, and emotions while your brain runs in that constant loop of worry? This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what happens when worry becomes a habit, and how worry or anxiety fuels Techxiety. So anxiety fuels Techxiety, and then how to break the cycle. So as we do around here, we do a thing called How Charged Are Your Nuts? And I'm going to get into that. So today's How Charged Are Your Nuts is drop your number in the comments and let me know on a scale of 1 acorn, which is totally chill, to 10 scrambling squirrels, which is, well, okay, absolute chaos. How consumed by worry and Techxiety have you been feeling this week? On a scale of 1 acorn, totally chill acorn, to 10 scrambling squirrels, which is, well, absolute chaos. How consumed by worry and or Techxiety have you been this week? And as the comments come in, I shall read them on stage, and I'd love to have a discussion about that, because we like finding out how charged people's nuts are about the things. And today it's how charged are your nuts about worry and anxiety? Like, how's your week been? And I can't wait to see some ones in that. I can't wait to hear some people that are like totally chill. I would say after having my self-care that I had last week, my week's been busy, really busy, but it's becoming more and more chill, even though I'm busy. I've got lots of things going on, but I'm approaching them in a much more chill manner than a worry manner, if that makes sense. And I want to see where you are. So I'm going to tell you a story about that's just like kind of an amalgamation or a combination of people that I have met in the world and what they're dealing with. And right now I'm kind of giving myself trouble here with, like, my lighting is causing issues with my video. And I don't want you to be distracted. I don't want me to be distracted by that or you. So I'm trying to find which of my settings I need to fix to make sure that that's not going to bother either of us. So one moment, please. And I may have just, oh, I did. Now you see me in my element, and it's not the element that I want. So we're playing real tech here. For real tech. There we go. Now you've at least got not so much distraction to deal with, because I apparently had two overlays fighting with each other. Tech happens to the geek girl too. So let's crack this nut. Let's definitely get into looking at a scenario that I see a lot for people. Is a high achieving or multi-passionate entrepreneur, either a high achieving corporate person or a multi-passionate entrepreneur, somebody who's involved in lots of different projects and things. And I'm one of those, by the way. But this person is stuck in the 2 a.m. anxiety spiral. Put in the chat if you've ever been involved in a 2 a.m. anxiety spiral. If you've ever gotten stuck in that, something, you're trying to go to sleep, you're running through your day, you're going through all the things in your head. Boom, 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 boom. And you get to the one thing that like just causes you to spiral out and go, oh God, this is all horrible. Life is horrible. And then, oh, wait, but if this happens, then this is, oh, wait, no, but if I can't pay that bill, then this is going to happen. And if I can't pay that bill, then this is going to happen. And then, oh God, because I didn't do that, then this is going to happen. And all of a sudden it's 3 a.m. and you're still awake and you've got a stomach ache and a headache and you've got a meeting in the morning. You've got lots of things going on. You've got lots of balls in the air, but yet anxiety and worry have you stuck in this 2 a.m. spiral. So sometimes worry shows up that way, but sometimes it disguises itself. It's a deceptive little shit. And it disguises itself as problem solving or productivity. And what I mean by that is the next morning you wake up, you were in that spiral last night, and maybe, you wake up, you got a little bit of sleep, you're a little bit refreshed. You go to your meetings and you get to your lunch break or your first hour break between meetings. And instead of relaxing or even eating lunch, you dig into how to solve the problem you were awake at 2 a.m. with. Or worse, sometimes worse, you dig into what are the things I can do to avoid it. Scrolling, doom scrolling, working on projects that don't need to be done yet, working on things that might not be projects, avoiding meetings or projects. It comes out in lots of different ways in each one of us. Every single one of us is different this way. Every one of us. And I mean, that's the beauty of life, is that we're all different, but every single one, has that happen differently. So sometimes it disguises itself as problem solving, where you go down the deep dive. And something I've noticed actually with many clients lately, as in the last, since AI's public advent, I'll call it, in the last 3 years, I've been involved in AI for 10 plus years. But since AI was kind of announced to the world and the general public started using it, and really in the last year and a half to 2 years, people using AI as a therapist. And as we've talked on this show before, AI cannot do therapy. AI cannot be your coach. AI is an amazing adjunct to having a coach or a therapist. It cannot act as a human who's trained in either of those areas as a therapist. It cannot act as a spiritual healer in someone who is, because those folks are also trained. It's not in an academic sense, in the sense of how the Western world views academia, but they're trained nonetheless. And by training, I mean, did you go through a series of learning from an institution, from a program, from another expert, from a mentor, from someone that you have gone through training with? And those trainings are not all in the world of university or what I call academe, which is its own form of corporate trauma. Those and all learning is good learning. So if you have learning from somewhere and you are a practitioner of X, Y, or Z because of that learning, that's great. That person has an expertise that AI cannot have. AI may have access to words, books, Googles, the learnings themselves, but what they do not have and cannot have is the art that the human brings. So anyone who is trained in as a therapist, healer, or coach, and many other areas, of course, has the book training that AI can get a hold of. But AI does not have the human experiential and art experience of which experience creates the art of whatever the profession. AI can't have that. So AI cannot be your therapist, healer, or coach. And in that, when worry disguises itself as problem solving, one of the challenges I believe in that is, in the general public, we frequently will go to ChatGPT. People are going to, I was almost said I don't do this, but I'm not going to say that because that's actually a partial lie. I'll get back to it maybe. I don't do it for therapy. I actually I use AI as an adjunct to get accessing my own therapy, but I also have my own therapists, coaches, and healers, and I access them. I access the humans, but I do use it as an adjunct. What I mean is when people use AI strictly for the only problem solving tool they have, when they use Google or AI or whatever, and it's just one tool and they don't have the human piece in it. And they go to AI, they put in, oh, this person said this to me in a chat. I said this back to them. This person said that back, or they'll send screenshots of their chats they'll put those in AI and ask, what is the problem with our relationship? AI doesn't have context for that. It just has the screenshot and the answers it's going to give. It's just going to calculate the wording and give you a calculated answer. Not that that's bad, because it's insight. Okay. However, it is not a full answer. And it also, in the case of worry and distracted problem solving worry, it's not always good for what we, how to go through dealing with the anxiety or worry. So the other way is the whole productivity. I'm being productive. The thing is if you're worried or anxious about something, are you fully engaged appropriately in the meetings or the productivity that you have? Are you making mistakes because part of you is still in that worry spiral? Okay. So that's just some background on some things that, some little things that worry can, get, can kick our butt with. So here's the fun story. And I wish she was on this screen with me right now to help me recall this story. Mom Donna, I miss you so much. I miss you horribly. There's so many things I wish I could ask you in person. I know we talk spiritually, but I wish I could talk to you in person. One of my extra moms, bonus moms, if you will, her name's Donna. I met her when she was about my age. So it's been about 20 years ago that I met her. And when we met, we didn't know each other well. So early on in our relationship, she didn't know me well. I didn't know her well, but I was headed to, I had a hot glass booth. I'm a lamp worker, which is making hot glass, making beads and marbles. So think about people who make marbles, people who make beads. If you're old enough, you may remember going to shopping malls when you were kids and seeing a kiosk or a booth where or at a craft fairs or street fairs where somebody had a booth and they were taking hot glass and turning it into little animals and things. That's the kind of glass I work with. And I had a hot glass booth, and my husband and I were headed to a American Indian powwow. We were going to have a booth at the powwow, and we were going to be camping in our camper. We had lots of friends that were going to be there, and I was 2 a.m. spiral does not even cut through or describe how worried I was about every single detail. Every detail. Like, do we have all of our food packed? Do I have all of the pieces do I have the right glass packed? How am I going to make sure people are safe? Where are how do I have the right tables? Do I have, oh, wait a minute. How am I going to do something when somebody wants to buy something? I was spiraling. I was so worried that I was going to forget something, and lists didn't even cut it. When you go out of town, I don't know if any of you make a packing list of what things you're going to have. This last week I had a packing list, but even at that, I forgot a couple things. Okay. That's what Walmart or Instacart's for, forget it. Or in our case, Target, this past weekend. Not not 20 years ago when I met Donna, I was not in the same place I am now. And I was so worried that I was going to forget things. Plus, we were going to a pretty rural area. I'm not sure that there certainly wouldn't have been glass supplies. And I needed to make sure I had everything that possible to make these glass beads and marbles I was going to demonstrate while people were purchasing items I had already made. So it was the idea. It wasn't just having a booth where I was going to sell things. I was going to demonstrate what lamp work was. And I needed an easy up pop-up tent over me. I needed the right tables. I needed the right, like I said, safety equipment to make sure people that were watching me were safe. I had to make sure everything was packed correctly. Thank Creator for my husband who can pack a full house into a small U-Haul, I think. He can definitely park 500 cars in a 1 block area and not get a scratch on any of them. He's brilliant with those things. So he was in charge of some things like that. And that was a lifesaver, because I probably would have ended up in the hospital with the amount of worry that I had. Because when I say I was worried about every single tiny thing, I'm not exaggerating. In fact, I can't even describe how much. So, flash forward to it wasn't 2 a.m. It was actually probably 8 p.m. the night before, we were packing and everything. And I end up on the telephone with Donna because she was the one who was organizing the people's booths. And she was the one making sure, she's who you got a hold of to buy your booth, whatever, and get directions and make sure you had everything to work with the committee who was putting on the event, making sure that was done. So I got on the phone with her, like I said, not knowing her very well. And she, like the mom she is, was, and I will ever be in my heart. She listened. And then she said, "Stacy, where does the sun rise?" And I'm like, why are you asking me where the sun, what the fuck? Now, mind you, I'm also already a therapist at this point, right? I know how to deal with anxiety and worry, and I deal with clients, but here I was having a massive panic attack over this event because of my own stuff. And I wasn't thinking even as a therapist at that point. And she's like, "Stacy, where does the sun rise?" And I'm like, "It rises in the east. Why?" And she's like, "And how do you know that?" I'm like, "'Cause it did the day before and it always does." And she's like, "Yeah." Oh, okay. The universe is there. The sun's going to rise in the east and set in the west every single day on this planet because that's how things work. Faith, belief, certainty, the universe has our back. And because the universe has our back, whether I had the right paperwork to take somebody's, whether I had enough change, if somebody paid me cash for a thing, or if I didn't have, the right paper towels to wipe down the booth, it was going to be okay. It was going to be okay because the sun still is going to come up every single morning in the same place. It's a universal certainty. The universe has our back. And it was probably one of my first lessons that way. And there are many ways to do this lesson. That's not the only one. It's certainly, it's a deeply personal story to me, partly because she's no longer here. If she was, she'd be on this screen with me, giving me a ration of shit over the whole thing and laughing with me and talking about it. And damn, I wish she was. But I also know the sun's going to rise tomorrow in the east. It's going to set in the west. She and I for 20 years had, or for from 20 years ago till when she walked on, had that as our tagline or our joke to each other. You know, we even set a couple of compass points of places, our favorite place in the west and our favorite place in the east, and that was where the sun rose and set, and we would tell each other that, and that was our way of saying, it was all going to be okay. And I'm gifting that to you today in the sense that if you are feeling overwhelmed, tech panic, and anxiety, stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, where does the sun rise? And when you get your answer, know that when anxiety and techxiety lie to you and make everything feel chaotic, like 10 scrambling squirrels, you have to ground yourself in something that is absolutely certain. And barring the sun exploding or something happening here on the planet that who knows what, the sun is always going to rise. And it's always going to rise in the east. It's always going to set in the west. And here's the thing. You are absolutely safe in this moment. And you have to ground yourself in the now and say, where is the sun going to rise? And where am I right now? And am I okay right now? Put your feet on the earth. Put your feet on the ground. Put your hand on your heart. Is your heart beating? Are you breathing? Oh, everything is okay. You are safe in that moment. So you can use that exact question to do what's called interrupting or stopping those worry loops and bring your nervous system back to baseline. So let's talk about an actual process of what this would look like. Practical. I want you to have something to really take away today. So let's take this as an actual thing, and I'm going to give you some steps. And those steps are: find a picture of the sun or a sunrise, or better yet, your favorite sunrise that you took a picture of, or even your favorite sunset, because the sun setting in the west is also a piece. Take a picture of the sun rising, the sun setting, a picture of your family, a picture of something that you know is certain, a picture of a pet. Put that picture on the background of your phone, unless it's there already. If it's there already, it's perfect. Then I want you to take your hand, put your hand on your heart, just hold your hand on your heart, and I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to sink into that picture. And I want you to think of everything that you can see in that picture. So close your eyes and then see the picture. I want you to hear everything you heard in that moment that picture was taken. Or if it's a picture of something that's not yours, everything that you can imagine hearing. Everything that you can imagine smelling. Yes, if it's a stinky, wet dog, okay. No shame, no shade. Everything that you might taste is the picture of you taking a drink of something beautiful. And everything that you feel in your body in that moment. If it was a picture from a family vacation, if it's a picture of an animal, of a pet, if it's a picture of something you were at that place at that time, teleport yourself back to that place in time and feel everything you felt, keeping your hand on your chest. And when that moment is so vivid in what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're tasting, what you're smelling, and what you're feeling in your body, it's just as bright and vivid as it could be. Lift your hand from your chest. Now, after that, I'm going to ask you, what color is purple? I did that on purpose. Obviously, purple is purple, right? I wanted to take you out of the moment that I've just put you in. Now, I want you to gently and just quickly do what I call a touch and go on your chest. Touch it and lift it. And when you do that, just little bit of a touch to your chest and lift it, I want you to recognize, what is it you feel when you did that quick touch to your chest. Hopefully, it's just a piece of that event that happened that you put yourself in from your picture. Because what I just walked you through is called an anchor. We created an anchor of your hand on your chest putting you right back in that moment. Have you ever smelled a perfume or a smell, or, maybe, like you walk in your grandma's house and she's cooking something, and then 20 years later, you smell something just even close to it, and grandma's gone. It's not her cooking. But you go, maybe it's a combination of like a certain thing cooking, like cinnamon rolls cooking in the oven, but it's also the scent of this perfume. And maybe you're walking around a mall 20 years later, and you walk by the cinnamon roll place and the perfume shop next to each other, and you get the two scents again together. And you go, and you have that sense of feeling of love and belonging and everything you felt at grandma's that day. That is an anchor. You're anchored to those smells together, to that thing, and it brings you back. The smells are connected to the memory, and it's called an anchor. And you can create those in your life. And that's what I just had you do. And I had you do that for this. Next time that you are feeling anxious in that 2 a.m. spiral, you could ask yourself, where is the sunrise? And at the same time, put your hand on your chest. Maybe not, don't hold it there for too long. You don't want to lock that anxiety in too. You don't want to lock the anxiety in with the good thing. Just do a touch and go. And if you want bonus, I'm going to give you some bonus points before we wrap up today. The bonus is, if you want to make that feel even stronger, next time you're in a place or a situation with your family, with your dog, with watching a sunrise, watching a sunset, and things are just freaking perfect. They're just perfect. Put your hand on your chest and leave it there. And close your eyes and soak the moment in. And when you soak that in, at the same time that something's happening, that hand to chest is going to be even stronger next time you use it. The more, think of it as banking that joy. You're banking joy by putting your hand on your chest. You're banking the joy into that touch, so that next time you need it at 2 a.m., I don't know about you, but like your hands are pretty much always there, unless you had a hand injury. And believe me, I have a hand injury, and yeah, that's a whole different story. If you don't have a hand to do it, you can anchor to a smell. You can anchor to a sight. You can anchor to looking at that picture, so that then next time you look at the picture, it brings up all the things. If you struggle with it's not working, book a consultation with me. I'm here. I'll do this with you one-on-one so that you can feel better. I am so blessed to have had people in my life that taught me things. And again, I just want to do kind of a final celebration of Donna and telling her thank you. Miigwech, 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 Mom Donna. Miigwech. I miss you terribly. I think of you all the time. And I know for sure you absolutely would have cracked your ass up when I first told you about Show Me Your Nuts. And the nut puns would have flown for hours from the two of us. You would love Show Me Your Nuts. And I know you do. I can feel it right now. I can feel it. You guys probably have people that have marked your life that way. Tell me in the comments, or if you're watching this as a short later, who helped you in a moment of a 2 a.m. spiral, and how did they do it? They might have done it a completely different way. I'd love to know, how did that other human help you get out of your 2 a.m. spiral? Or maybe you helped somebody else. How did you help them get out of their 2 a.m. spiral? Right? I'd love to hear how others are have gotten out of their spirals. And if you're having spirals about Techxiety, come to my office hours. I will put the link in the chat. I'm going to put the link on a banner to come hang out and see, look at my calendar and see what events are going on. There's free events, there's paid events, there's all sorts of events on the calendar. We have weekly coffee every Thursday morning. It's actually right before this show, and we have tech open office hours. There are other things on my calendar that are also from the Breakthrough Show Network. There are other events. When there are events there, and when they choose to list them on my calendar, those are there. There's lots of different events for the Breakthrough Show Network. And so I'm actually going to play a quick commercial, and I'll be right back for us to wrap up the show.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
And we're back. And some of the other shows, oh, I am so glad I remembered this. this Sunday, I am going to guest on a sister show on the Breakthrough Show Network called Spirit Sessions. I can never remember their tagline. I'm going to be on Sunday morning with my friend T Dubs. We're going to talk about mental wellness, and I think we're going to talk about mental wellness and spirituality, actually, and kind of some crossovers of the two places. So if you're a therapist, a healer, a client, a coach, somebody who enjoys spirituality, somebody who enjoys their own mental health or struggles with their mental health, come watch us on Sunday. You can find out all the shows on the Breakthrough Show Network.com. You can also go to showmeyournuts.live to that will take you to the Show Me Your Nuts page there, and you can find out about all the shows and what we're doing. Project Joy Live is 3 times a week. Rise and Shine Sundays is on Sunday mornings. I've been lucky enough to guest on that show a couple of times. Love me some Jamie, Rich, Ray, and Sang over there. And they have a great show. And then there's also Beyond 2D and Beyond the Breakthrough. And if I'm missing anybody, I apologize. But check out the other shows and make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Because that helps out. And I would be remiss if I did not celebrate the Breakthrough Show Network on YouTube. Just passed earlier this week their 1,000th subscriber. Now, the reason this is special is not just because there's 1,000 subscribers, but because every single one of them was organic. Not a single subscriber was purchased, coerced, or bought or forced. And that is because of Jessica. And I want to celebrate her at the moment because that is amazingness. Jessica, brilliance. And the reason there's 1,000 organic subscribers to this network is because of everything the network is about. And because of you. And I want to celebrate you for that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew. And if you're not one of those subscribers, wait a minute, why not? Breakthrough Show Network on YouTube. Please subscribe. Let's get to 2,000. We're at 1,000. Let's get to 2. Let's roll. Go add some more subscribers and help us out. If you like what you see. If you don't like what you see, don't subscribe. Don't subscribe. But if you like what you see on my show or on any of the others, subscribe so you can find out. So I think that's about it for our show today. I hope you enjoyed learning about another way to kind of, get yourself settled when that 2 a.m. anxiety strikes, as well as, thinking about what happens is how does this, what happens with sun rising and setting. Next week on Show Me Your Nuts, we have an amazing guest. I am so excited to bring you next week, J.S. Gilbert. We're going to talk about some simple tech hacks, and we're going to talk about tech and mental health. We're also going to talk about his new forthcoming book and how that ties into mental health. So do not miss next week. You are going to want to see and hear more about JS. He is a vocal artist, actor. He played numerous cartoon characters in, I believe, the 90s. They were well after my cartoon time, so I'm not personally familiar with the cartoons themselves. Thankfully, I'm personally familiar with the JS himself. But you're not going to want to miss this one. It's going to be fun. It's going to be serious. And it's going to be about an important topic. So check us out next week on Show Me Your Nuts with my special guest, J.S. Gilbert, and come find out what shenanigans we get into. Because when he and I are on a screen, yeah, it's likely that the shenanigans are going to hit. So it's all the nut puns, all the nuts. Come help me welcome JS to the stage next week. And I will see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.